everybody, it's Dave here, Darren over there, and we're finally on. Took a couple seconds to get everything squared away, but we are here with your Vikings pregame show. Today, the Minnesota Vikings play the Denver Broncos tonight in the final preseason game of the season. We have three themes to go over in this show. First one, does Mond have a future with the Minnesota Vikings? Well, tonight, part of that will be determined. We shall see, as I'm used to saying. Second theme, Darren and I are going to reveal our final 53-man rosters. Most of it's the same. Most of it's the same probably with you too. But can you see the differences? Can you catch the differences? We will find out. And then we will be looking at the Broncos game specifically as to which bubble players need to step up their game if they want a chance to make this team. Right after this. Climb in the Pocket, Daily Norseman, and Lake Monster Brewing presents Two Old Bloggers. Hey everybody, it's Dave here again, Darren over there. How's everything up in the Great White North there, Darren?
Nice today, David. Had a tennis lesson this morning. Nice and sunny, 20 degrees Celsius. Actually pretty nice late August day here, so everything's good. Vikings play tonight. That's even better. Even if it's all going to be backups and backups of backups, but it's Vikings football, and I'm happy about that.
That's right. And with tennis, as we learned, it helps you with your throwing motion.
That is right. That's what we've been told. That's what Kirk is telling us anyway. And
yep. Well, in case we need a backup QB at some point in time, we shall find out. All right. To get this day started, first off, I want to say skull to everyone that's on the chat already. Joseph, Mary, Drewster, Raymond. It's good to see you, buddy. And hopefully more will be joining us. I already see that there's 15 watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, ring that damn bell. Listen and review us. Follow along. It should be a fun show. So let's get this one started. We are talking about playing for Vikings careers because that's what players have to do today if they want a chance to make this team and to continue their football dreams. And
they certainly do.
Let's start. Theme one. All right, here. You wanted to talk about Vikings got their backup quarterback this week.
They did, David. I think at some point on August the 20th, when the Vikings were playing the 49ers, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell realized that Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion, were not going to get it done, that they did not have their backup quarterback on the roster currently. And it was even more clear in O'Connell's presser earlier this week. He got specifically asked this question by late in that presser. The question was, are you comfortable with your backup quarterback position, or could it be a possibility where you look beyond these guys and look at options? And what was interesting about that was that O'Connell did not shoot down that question at all. He gave a long answer. Part of it is up there, and the real key one was he said the competition is going to go down to the very end here. That does not mean that it always just stays the same. Sometimes we may feel the need to add a player at a position, not just quarterback, just to try to maximize what we're going to be this year as a football team. And, shortly after that, we learned that the Vikings traded for Nick Mullens from the Raiders for a conditional 7th-round pick, and we got our backup quarterback. There's Nick up there. And so, first thing, I think you got a kudos to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah for recognizing, as late as it may have been, that we just couldn't go into the year with either Mannion or Mond as the backup quarterback. We just couldn't. And so he did something quickly about it, made a decisive decision, and traded for Nick Mullens. I like the acquisition of Mullens. He's young, but has been in the league 4 years now. He didn't cost us much. He's not very expensive, and you look at him. He's got a career. He started 8 games in 2018, another 8 in 2020. He's got 17 career starts, so he's got a fair body of work for a young guy. A career 64.6 completion percentage. He makes quick decisions with the ball. He can get the ball out quickly. He can make the short and intermediate throws with accuracy. The longer, more difficult throws is where he struggles more, and that's why he's been a backup in the league, because he doesn't have that elite arm talent that the other guys have. He's not a scrambler at all. Very few rushing yards in his career, but he's not immobile. He throws. He throws the ball. He's not a scrambler, not Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, but he's not like a statue back there. I'm just going to throw out a couple of his starts that Mullens had in the past, and just as a couple of stats there. In 2018 and the 2014 win over Denver, he had a stat line of 20 for 33, 332 passing yards, 2 TD passes, 1 interception. And in 2020, he had, in a 36-9 win over the Giants, he went 25 for 36, 343 passing yards, 1 TD, 0 interceptions. Now, Mullens has had other games in his career which were poorer than that. He hasn't consistently put up those stats, but the point is he is capable of those kind of stats. And Mannion is not capable of that, and Mond at this stage in his career is not capable of that. So Mullens, hey, again, not an elite quarterback, but I feel that he's a guy that if Kirk Cousins misses a game because he gets COVID again, or he has a minor injury that keeps him out for a game or 2 or 3, we hope that doesn't happen. Mullens is a guy that can go in there and he can keep the Vikings afloat, especially with the offensive talent that he has on this team, because this is the best offensive talent, skill players that he has ever had to work with in his career, I believe. So, I like this move. I would be interested to hear your thoughts on it, David, as well.
I think grabbing Nick Mullens was a fabulous idea.
Not one of the guys we identified as an option a couple of weeks ago, but
no, it wasn't. I didn't even consider him being available. He was number 3 on the Raiders depth chart, and we probably should have. But yes, if you look at those 17 game starts, that's a full season, right? He only won 4 or 5 of them. 5 of them, I think it was.
That's right, yeah. 5 and 12 as a starter.
Right, but there was some of those other starters were late minute starts, right? Where it was just hey, you're starting now, get in here, right? Where he didn't have the prep time. I think he has the ability to be a good backup QB. I comped him earlier in the week to Case Keenum at this point of the season in 2017, right? Case Keenum was the backup. He was going to be the backup. That was the deal. We had Sam Bradford was going to start. Everything was going to go great, right? And Case Keenum was back there. We knew Case had some issues, right? Before and since 2017 was his golden horseshoe season. But he has that sort of ability. He can move in the pocket. He's not a statue, right? And he's good in the short and intermediate range games, which if he had to play, Kevin O'Connell can dial back a little bit on deep stuff and make that work. I like that. I like that whole lot better than Mond or Mannion, the prospect of those two, either one of them, going in and having to win a game. Now, could he win half his games? Maybe. Yeah, I think that could happen. Whereas I don't believe that's the case if they had to bring in Mond or Mannion. So I think it is a very, very good move on their part. It's cheap. It's inexpensive. We're only talking a 7th rounder in 2024 draft, which is almost nothing. He's only counting about 1.4 million against the cap, right? We'll recoup some of that if we get rid of Mannion or Mond or both. And I think it's a brilliant move. I like it a lot.
I think at this point, David, I think it's fair to single out Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and O'Connell for a bit of criticism here on how they handled this backup quarterback situation, because we knew into the offseason that there was questions about, okay, who is the Vikings backup quarterback? Do they have a capable backup quarterback? And they decided to re-sign Mannion and have him compete with Mond for the backup quarterback position. And I really, what were they seeing in OTAs and the mini camps? Was it apparent then that there was trouble brewing with our backup quarterback position? Maybe it was just, could they have made this move earlier? I guess the one point is maybe the Raiders and other teams wouldn't be willing to give up a backup quarterback option at this point because they weren't sure where things were going to slide either. But maybe Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, maybe it's hard to tell in OTAs and minicamp until they play in a real live game situation, even if it's preseason. Maybe it was hard to tell just how bad these two would look in a game until we saw it. So maybe that was the reason why they were late. But this is something I've been thinking about as they acquired Mullens, was like, now Mullens is coming in really late. He's got to learn the playbook. If something happens to Cousins or in the first couple of weeks, is he going to be ready to take the full, be able to, are they going to be able to give him the full load, the full offense? And that's worst case scenario. But that was something I thought about. And Drew talked about, what do you do with Mond now? We're going to get into that now. Yes. and a little bit later on.
Yes.
But I think that, this is it's again, another fair question is, what is Kellen Mond's future with the team? 3rd round draft pick, I believe, is the first pick or the second pick in the 3rd round. So quite high. I feel that he definitely has improved compared to last year. He looks like a much better quarterback than he did last year. And you also have to take into account that really in his rookie year, it appears that he got very little coaching up or development in his rookie year. So really, this year
he came in with COVID, lost 25 pounds, never regained his strength. All of that plays into, has he, as Drew's point, has he made enough steps to where it would be wise for the Vikings to keep him? And we'll get into that in Theme 2, starting now. Here in Theme 2, Darren and I decided to project our 53-man rosters. We did have a few disagreements on who would go where. But let's start off at the beginning. As Darren arranged it, he wanted to start non-controversial on the defensive side. So we'll start with what I call the interior defensive lineman. On the right of these graphics, you will see the green bar. The green bar means that Darren and I agreed on, in this case, 6 players making the squad as interior defensive linemen. The Vikings may bust it up by nose tackle and defensive end. We're just going to stick with interior defensive linemen because most of them, just like on the interior offensive line, can be shuffled around and moved in different spots. And here we've got, as at the beginning of the season, we're looking at Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, and Armon Watts as your penciled-in starters. We both agree that T.Y. McGill has done enough to make this team. James Lynch and Jonathan Bullard have also done that. That gray box next to Eseze, you had him as a maybe. Why?
Well, I think either him or Bullard could be like a either or at this point, but I think that Zizi Otomoeo is going to go on the practice squad if he doesn't make the team, and I don't think he's going to make the team unless he has like a huge game tonight. But T.Y. McGill has been really the only backup interior defensive lineman who's really stood out the first two preseason games in my view. The rest of the guys haven't really done a whole lot, but so he's a lock to make the team. I feel James Lynch, I think, makes the team because he's only in his third year. He's a veteran, but he's only in his third year, and I believe he has room to grow. Jonathan Bullard's a guy that O'Connell and Odolfo Mensa brought in specifically as a free agent, a late addition. He's been playing a lot during preseason, and he's made created some interior pressure. And I think that they like him and they like his veteran presence. And unfortunately for Jalen Twyman, a feel-good story, but I haven't seen him doing enough in the first two games to warrant a spot on the roster. And the same with the fifth rounder, Azizi Otomomoeo. I don't think he's done enough, but I think both of those guys with the expanded practice squad rosters probably will be put on the practice squad unless some other team scoops him up, which I don't think would be the case. But that's how I look at it, David. I don't know what your views on it.
Oh, I agree. Bullard's done pretty decent. He surprised me. I thought he was just a guy. He's a little bit more than just a guy. James Lynch is James Lynch. He still continues to show that he has that motor and deserves to be there. And T.Y. McGill's just been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
So, we agree there's 6. Coach Donatel has always kept 6 in his system of interior defensive linemen. We agree on these, so we're good to go. Next one up is outside linebackers, or in this case, our edge rushers. It looks like you and I agree on this one too.
Yes, indeed. There's no debate on who the starters will be.
Yep.
And I think Patrick Jones has really, I think he's made some great strides in this second year and during the preseason has been creating pretty consistent pressure when he's played, and he's played a lot in the preseason. I think that he'd be the first guy to give Smith or Hunter a blow. Or if, God forbid, one of them has to miss a game or two with injuries, he'd be the guy that would go in there right now. DJ Wanham has just been okay, kind of like how he plays in the regular season too, but he had 8 sacks last year, so he's sticking with the team. And then the other 3, Luigi Villain, I think that he picked up a fumble last week, which was kind of a splash play. He didn't make the play, but he was there. He's created a little bit of pressure here and there. Hasn't been playing a ton, but when he hasn't been invisible. I think that he's going to be a guy that they put in the practice squad and try to develop him. Janarius Robinson has been brutal, and I think he gets cut. And Zach McLeod has been a guy who's been, a meh. And
he's a rookie. He
yeah.
As Tyler Forner says, he has elements that are worthy of developing, but they're not there yet. So
yeah.
Our next group is the inside linebackers. And we agree on 4 out of the 5. I have 4 selected, and you have 5.
I do. Again, with just about every position on the Vikings, we might have mentioned this earlier, is that the starters are almost set, except at right guard and at the safety position, but I think even that's set right now.
Well, I think they're both set right now, but
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So again, it's really the bottom, the backups. That's where all the intrigue is for who's going to make the team and who is not on the Vikings. And Brian Asamoah is a lock to make this team, high third-round draft pick, and he's made plays during the preseason so far. And he's shown that he's got something. There's
Hmm.
something about this guy
The
that
speed,
maybe
the reaction,
speed, the reaction,
the
that
attitude.
yeah,
We love it.
yeah, that maybe we won't see a lot of it in year one, but I believe beyond year one, Brian Asamoah is going to be a very important player for the Vikings defense going forward, as people like to say. Blake Lynch, I think, is going to make the team. I
I
think he's a
think so
better
too.
player than Troy Dye. I've always liked Blake Lynch. He makes plays. That's what you
Hmm.
want to see. A little undersized, maybe, but he makes plays. I don't know why he doesn't play more than he has in the past. I got Troy Dye making the team just because the O'Connell, Donatel, and that team, they've been playing him a lot in preseason, and they seem to like him. He was actually listed initially as the backup for
Hmm.
Kendricks.
He
I think he
was.
might still be on the depth chart. I don't see it. I don't think he's done anything with the snaps that he's been given, and that's been considerable during preseason. But I just think that they like him, and he plays a lot of special teams. So I think that he makes the team for some reasons that I don't agree with, but that, but I think he's going to make the team.
You may be right. Mary
Chazz
says
Surratt not making the team.
no. You see that Mary says can't wait to see Hunter and Hicks together. Hunter and Smith, I agree on the outside, and I can't wait to see Kendricks and Hicks work together on the inside. It should be you take those four, and we've got a good starting group of linebackers.
You're just going to have to wait till September 11th to see it.
Yes. Next on our cornerbacks. Believe it or not, we all agreed. We have both selected 6 cornerbacks to make the team.
And really, the only question here is who's going to be the sixth cornerback that the Vikings keep, I think. And I've got Chris Boyd making the team. Caleb Evans is a lock, fourth rounder. Andrew Booth Jr. is a lock, second rounder. And Caleb Evans, with his strong showing in last week's game against the 49ers, I think that, if he'd really struggled, you might think, oh, maybe he's a practice squad candidate. But no, he's making the team. And I think that Chris Boyd is going to get it over Hairston and Perry Nickerson because he's a core special team player, and when
And
he
he
does
has
get the chance.
flashed at corner.
That's
Outside
right.
corner.
He has
Yeah.
flashed at corner when he has played at times. The problem with Chris Boyd is, along with that, is that he's a little handsy, likes to get his hands a little bit too much on guys. He hasn't gotten rid of that from his college days. And the other thing is that sometimes he lets his emotions take over and he does dumb shit, like last year against Pittsburgh when he did the old whatever he did over the guy. He made a great play, then celebrates right over the guy's face and gets a
Mm-hmm.
15-yard
Gets a
penalty
penalty.
that extends the drive and help the Steelers get back in the game.
And
So,
wasn't he on the
uh,
fake punt?
well, yeah, he was the one that moved early,
Yeah, because he
and
got
2
excited that
years.
nobody was covering him, and he got all excited and moved early on a play that would have been brilliant. Yes, he gets a little emotional at times. Hopefully, he reins that in. Thank you, Drew, for the compliment. It should be interesting tonight because we know Andrew Booth is out with his ankle injury. So Chris Boyd and a Caleb Evans should get quite a showing when it comes to tonight.
They will be playing. They'll be busy. So
Mm-hmm.
will Perry Nickerson and Ty Smith, who just got brought back for this game, and then will
Yep.
be quickly cut after this game.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes, he will learn from his mistakes, Mary. That's what comes with age. Hopefully, we all learn. All right, when it comes down to safeties, we both agree on 4 safeties, keeping 4 safeties and the same safeties.
Yeah, Lewis Seen, the backup right now to Cameron Bynum. For how long that remains, it remains to be seen. But Lou has been, I think, pretty quiet so far in preseason, and but that's part of playing safety. You're far back from where all the action is sometimes, and if the play doesn't come your way, you don't get your name doesn't get called a whole lot. So I don't think it's a knock on Seen that he's had a quiet preseason, but that's just the way it's been. But right now he looks like the backup, but We still don't know how much of these 3 safety looks that Ed Donatel is going to throw out, in which case
We'll
Lewis
see.
Cine and Cam Bynum, we'll see Cine quite a bit, I think. Josh Metellus is the other, as the fourth guy. I don't love having Metellus on the team. However, Miles Dorn and rookie Mike Brown really haven't done anything to take Metellus's job. And Metellus, like Chris Boyd, been a core special teams guy, has value there. That's why he's going to stick on this team, and Ed Donatel will hope that he doesn't have to put Metellus in an actual game playing safety.
I agree there. And the deal with Cine, we're hearing that he's a little bit slow to process what he's seeing and get going at this level, but he keeps getting faster and faster with every practice. So eventually, I suspect we will see more and more, and a rotation, and God forbid if anybody gets hurt. So
Drew says Miles Dorn has made the team every year since 1994. It does seem that he's hung around quite a bit.
Well, that's your defense. Now, was anybody paying attention? How many players did Darren select, and how many players did I select? We'll let that go as we move on to the offense. Our tackles. We'll start with the offensive line. We got our tackles. We have bookend tackles. Everything's looking absolutely fantastic in the fact that Christian Darrisaw is being compared with the potential of a future Hall of Famer.
Williams.
And we know Brian O'Neill is outstanding and made the Pro Bowl as a right tackle, probably will continue to do so. We both selected Blake Brandel, and for some reason, I believe you selected Oliudo, and I didn't mark that.
I didn't select
Oliudo.
Oh,
you didn't select Odo.
No, I didn't.
So,
no.
Each of us selected 3 tackles listed as tackles. But like I said, on the defensive interior line side, on the offensive, you get interior linemen. There's one in particular that can easily play tackle if need be, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
First part of that interior offensive line, we're going to talk guards, right? Both you and I have agreed that Ezra Cleveland, Ed Ingram, and Jesse Davis make the team. I have Ezra, obviously, is a starter. I've already penciled in Ed Ingram as the starter over Chris Reed or Jesse Davis or whoever.
Yeah, I guess it's possible because Ingram's game against the 49ers wasn't quite as good as his game had been the week before against the Raiders. But I think that maybe if if Ingram really stinks it up tonight, and I don't think he will, that maybe that might change the Vikings' mind. But I don't think so. I think Ingram is in there with Jesse Davis being the backup. I would like the Vikings to keep Kyle Hinton, but I feel that he's come along, but I don't really see a spot for him here with
and that's
else.
Hinton for me is on that edge too. Drew, you talk about Vidarian Lowe. I suspect they're going to try to escort him onto the practice squad.
Yes, and you're right. Wes Phillips did mention him specifically in his presser this week, but I think he's a long shot to make the team, particularly because I think that they're only going to keep one swing tackle, and that swing tackle is going to be Blake Brandel for now. There's always cuts that happen, and the Vikings could add a guy from another team on a spot that they think is weak here as far as the reserves go, and that stuff always happens every year. But this is who we see. This is how we see it so far with who the Vikings actually have on the team right now.
Right. And as of the other parts of the interior offensive line, we have Garrett Bradbury listed as starting center. I have Chris Reed here as making the team. However, he's been hurt for the last 2+ weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see him tonight. And there is Austin Schlottman, who's making a name for himself so far, and Josh Sokol, who the rookie may be coming up and being groomed. And between the guards and the centers, you've got guys that back up I got Chris Reed here as a center, but he's also a backup as a guard. You have Jesse Davis as a guard, but we know he can play tackle competently as well. So there can be movement here. We agree on the three here. What do you think of Josh Sokol's chances of making the practice squad?
I think they're very good. I think he will be on the practice squad. I can't remember the last time the Vikings had a practice squad in recent years where they didn't have a center on it, and I believe Josh Sokol is going to be that guy when they announce the practice squad. He ain't going to make the team, he ain't going to make the final 53, but he is going to be on the practice squad. And again, unless they add somebody else from another team that gets cut and put them on the practice squad. But the teams get comfortable if they feel that they've been working with a guy for several months and they feel that he's got potential. If they keep on working with him on the practice squad, they usually like to keep those guys around as opposed to bringing in a bunch of new people from other systems and other teams.
Mm-hmm. Now that moves us to the outside. When we're starting to get into skill positions, we have tight end. We only have one listed as a starter. That's Irv Smith. He should be ready for game one. He's already started to practice with the team. I can almost guarantee you 100% they will not play him tonight. They will give that thumb at least 2 more weeks of normal protected practice before they put him out in, live gunfire. So we have Irv Smith, Johnny Munt as number 2, and Ben Ellefson is number 3. We agree there.
Yeah, I think O'Connell specifically mentioned Ben Ellefson today in his, not today, but this week in his press conference, and talking about he liked his versatility, he praised his blocking ability, and for Zach Davidson, he just, he made a couple of costly drops last week against the 49ers, and they weren't, one of them was would have been gone for a big gain, and he just dropped
for a touchdown.
Yeah, and you just can't drop passes like that and expect him to make the NFL, so I think he's gone, and Nick Mullens just hasn't done enough to distinguish himself to make the team. So it'd be either Davidson or Mullens or practice squad can get on the practice squad, but I'm not sure which one it would be. Whether the Vikings would want to go with Mullens. Yeah, I mean, Mullens is in his first year, whereas Davidson is in his second. And if Davidson is 2 years into having trouble catching the ball, yeah, they might just say that's enough. We've seen enough. Goodbye, Zach. Thanks for the memories. We're gonna develop Nick Mullens. I think you're probably correct about that.
Mm-hmm. Drew, as I think it's 16, but I will verify that after the show and let you know. Nick Mullens had a good, at least one good catch last week. I think it was 2, and he's shown, and he is more the blocking type, like Ellefson. But if they can develop that, the run and catch stuff, I fully think they're going to go the Mullens route versus the Davidson route. I think Davidson screwed up royally, and it's going to cost him. Mm-hmm. Now to the wide receivers. We have more disagreement here. I put purple blocks by your choices. I put blue blocks by my choices that are different than our agreed to green block. We've both agreed to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne came out thank you, Joseph, came out this week with the 3 deep redux. And hopefully that is the case. I want it to be the case. It should be very, very good. If you haven't seen the poster, let me see if I can find it real quick.
It was a pretty sweet poster.
It's sweet. Yeah, it is absolutely sweet. I know I downloaded it. Where did I put it? Boom. And I was, that was one of the pieces I may work on as a 3 deep version, but they came out with their own. And this is what it looks like. Boom. Let me shrink that down. Just like that. Is that not a piece of glory right there? Hopefully they can live up to that.
Yes. That is the question, isn't it? Pretty
Mhm.
sure the guy in the middle can live up to whatever we
Yes.
we've got in store for him. The other two, well, remains to be seen.
Hey, you got to remember it was Moss, Carter, and Reed, and the only real, well, they were all so good, and I think these guys are all so good. It could be that. Now, where you and I disagree is you have BC Johnson making the team,
And I only have for them keep the Vikings keeping five
five,
wide receivers.
whereas I have them
You,
keeping six.
and BC Johnson is not one of those six. You've
Nope,
got
I have them taking Jalen Naylor as a punt returner because he has done better than ISM has, and Amir Smith Marset is looking fantastic as a wide receiver, and he was a great punt returner in college, but he just has not shown it at all here. And we need a punt returner, and Jalen Naylor's done better. I'm going to take Jalen Naylor specifically for that punt returning job, and Tristan Jackson because he has shined throughout this camp. Both of them are rookies. If we have to get that far down in the depth chart, I want people with more upside than what BC Johnson has. BC Johnson's at his baseline. I don't see it. He's been around long enough. There's no real improvement. He's adequate. You can trust him, but there's nothing special about his game. And like I said, if we get that far down in the depth chart, give us potential. Give me something to groom because we're in hurting status if we're three starting wide receivers down, right? So that's
oh
why
yeah,
I chose the two rookies.
yeah, and I think that the BC Johnson, Jalen Naylor, Tristan Jackson are yeah, you could make arguments for any three of those making the team and flip them around. Just why my read has been that BC Johnson has been mentioned as having, and Tristan
Mm-hmm.
Jackson has also been mentioned as a surprise kind of a guy who's really shown up and wasn't expected to. But I've read BC Johnson's had a very good camp. He's and again brought up by Wes Phillips talking about his versatility, how he likes to do all the dirty work. So I think that in this year, when the Vikings are expecting to compete, I think they want to be comfortable with the guys on the bottom end of the depth chart in case one guy goes down. They want to feel good. Again, you said, yeah, BC Johnson's got a baseline, and I think that the Wes Phillips, Kevin O'Connell would rather have that baseline than gambling on what the baseline might be
Maybe.
with Jalen Naylor or
And
Tristan
Tristan
Jackson.
Jax. Yeah, maybe.
And so yeah, and I really haven't seen Jalen Naylor hasn't impressed me returning punts so far either, but he's going to get quite a bit of hopefully he's going to get lots of activity tonight and maybe
Hopefully.
and tonight is going to be as we're going
He
to
has
this
better
is
stats than ISM so far this
yeah
preseason when it comes to returning punts. And Joseph is correct. BC's on his last season, whereas the rookies, you have this one and three more. You can have them. So
yes
now on to the running backs. This is no big surprise. Dalvin Cook's the starter. Will be the starter. Should be the starter. Uh, so I say, so it shall be, and he shall stay healthy all season long, and nobody will complain, and he will set probably new records for himself, and everybody will go, wow.
yeah and this is a we've got the Vikings keeping five running backs. That's a very stacked running back room, but running backs get hurt a lot,
Mm-hmm.
particularly Dalvin Cook. So you need capable guys to step in for when they get hurt, and I feel that the Vikings do have that right now. Ty Chandler is a keeper, whether he's running back 3 or running back 4 right now, I'm not really sure.
Or kick
Kenny
returner
Wongwu has
two, yes,
yeah,
he's.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And Kenny Wongwu has looked pretty good. Kenny Wongwu has looked pretty good so far in preseason as well. And CJ Ham, um, you know, Kevin O'Connell, the Rams did not use a fullback very much or at all last year in their offense. But that offense is very similar to the Kyle Shanahan offense in the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan uses the fullback a lot. So CJ Ham, I believe he's going to have a significant role in this offense. We're not sure what it is right now because he hasn't really played in preseason, but Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips are going to find a way to use him. Hopefully not too many check down screen passes to the hammer,
2-yard checkdowns from
on third and 15.
3rd and 9, yeah. Kevin O'Connell said yes, he agreed the Rams didn't use it a lot, but he goes, he didn't have a good one. Right?
Yeah.
Because CJ Ham is one of the best. And so it's been reported, CJ Ham, they have plays for him. He is in the first string offense. They do practice with him. He's going to stay. Brian Koback, I hope he makes the practice squad, but who knows? I do think we know Kene is going to make it, and yes, I agree. Ty Chandler is an absolute keeper. It should be fun to watch him tonight, by the way.
Yes.
That brings us to the quarterbacks. We have another disagreement here. We both have Kirk Cousins starting. Like, no duh, we paying him a gazillion dollars. He's going to start. We both have Nick Mullens, the new signee, as his backup, because that makes sense. I have cut on my roster Mannion and Mond both. You have kept Mond. Here you go, Drew. Here's the disagreement. Why have you kept Mond?
I went back and forth on this all week, David. Actually, when I sent in my notes originally, I had Mond not making the team, and then I reconsidered. And the Vikings are in a difficult spot here with Mond because, again, he's improved this year compared to last year, no doubt about that, but not improved enough to be the backup. And really, if you look at it, what has he done? I haven't seen anything from him in last preseason or in this preseason that indicates to me that he can play quarterback in the NFL at a high enough level to be of any use. The other thing is that are the Vikings going to keep a third quarterback who, when he dresses, never plays any special teams,
right,
and also likely won't dress any Sunday the whole year. So you're kind of wasting a roster spot in that case, and on a team where, and maybe the coaching staff wants to use that roster spot on defensive line or offensive line, get one extra guy that they can keep at positions where there's more of a need and there's more of an injury rate. So there's all of that to look at. The problem though is that the Vikings, I don't think that if the Vikings cut Mond, I don't think that they can sneak him on the practice squad. He's young enough, cheap enough, and he has the raw skills that some team, and just a couple that come to mind would be the Seattle Seahawks or the Jacksonville Jaguars, who don't really have they don't have a strong quarterback room. The Jacksonville has Lawrence, but they don't have much beyond that.
Or any team that fancied him going into the draft last year.
Yeah,
quite a few teams were high on him.
So I think that if you cut him, then he's going to get picked up by some other team. You're not going to get him on the practice squad at all. And even if you do, a week or two into the season, some team could pick him up and add him to the practice squad roster, and then he's gone. So I think that the O'Connell and the Vikings, if roster spots were not an issue, I would keep Mond and give him a year to get developed, because really this is his rookie year, because last year was a waste, both due to the fact that he got COVID and lost a whole bunch of weight and was sick for a while, and also because the Vikings invested, it appears, no development time into him at all. So I think O'Connell they're going to look at they're definitely going to lose him. I think that they're going to say, hey, let's give him one more year. He can learn under us. We can bring out the best of him, and then we'll see what we got in 2023. And so I think that they are going to keep him for those reasons. But it's a difficult spot for Mond. And tonight, if he totally stinks it up like he did last week, I think that's it for him. But if he plays like he did against the Raiders, that keeps his roster spot. So a lot of it is dependent on a lot of what happens tonight too, I think.
Mm-hmm. Joseph, you are 100% correct. Now, This is where I disagree. I don't disagree with your logic. I think if we cut him, he's gone. I don't think we can squirt him on the practice squad. I don't think he would want to come back. I think there'd be plenty of other practice squads that would be offered to him, and he would say, "Hey, Minnesota didn't want me. I'm gone. I'll go see what I can do with somebody else." Secondly, I think he's not shown me enough progress to where I want to waste that roster spot. I want to use that roster spot someplace else. But that's just Dave. That's me. I don't think he's going to develop into an adequate backup quarterback in this league. And I think that's his only potential. I don't see him going far enough to become a starter. To me, seems too slow. He's got arm talent, yes, but he just doesn't process it. Kirk Cousins, I talk about Kirk Cousins' mental issues when it comes to football. Processing it isn't Kirk Cousins' fault. It's when things go off script that Kirk Cousins goes wrong. Well, we don't even get to that point with Kellen Mond. It's a process. Am I looking at my number first read? Is he covered? No. Yes. How about the second read? How about the third read? Do I need to look off the safety? Right? Am I holding here? And by this time, he's got people in his face, and it's just not going like I would suspect it to be. That's my reasoning. That's why I get rid of him. I figure next year we're going to draft a quarterback anyways. Eventually Kirk Cousins' replacement. I want to see that effort focused on him. We'd keep Kirk Cousins next year. Kirk Cousins could be the starter. But I want to see any development go to that guy that's going to be replacing him. Because I don't think Kellen Mond is ever going to replace Kirk Cousins as a quality starter. So, nice to know you. Sorry about your luck. Move on. That's my opinion. I do not keep him. But I may be wrong. I've been wrong before. That brings us to our last group, the specialists. We all agree we've got 3. The only thing is that Kevin O'Connell says, they're going to keep looking when he came down to Ryan Wright. And they selected let Barry go this week, kept Wright. I like Wright. Wright has a leg. He may not have quite the control that Barry had, but supposedly for most of the camp, they were dead even. Plus, we know he can boom it. I watched the clip of him booming it like 70 yards. And you
like the fact he wears 66.
That he's a fat, chunky dude. He's 6'3", weighs 250 pounds, and he wears 66. Yes. I think it's fabulous that he does that. So, and we know Greg Joseph is looking as of right now like he's going to have an outstanding season. And Andrew why do I have a problem? DePaola is
he's our long snapper.
Yeah, he's your long snapper, and he's been fine. So
they didn't even bring any competition the entire off season for him. So yeah, I think Wright's the only guy there. If depending on, again, he's the punter right now, but the Vikings could with cuts coming, the final cuts coming, and get Austin Cutting back from the Air Force. Yeah, and not only that, why not draft him in the 5th round?
Yeah, he's no longer be a second lieutenant by now, which means he makes better decisions, not good ones, but better ones.
So if the Vikings, if Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Matt Daniels see a punter that gets released that they like better than Wright might not be the right guy either a week from now. So
yeah, but I suspect it'll be right. We'll see.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about the last of these guys.
Well, just based on, one thing I wanted to, final thing that I wanted to mention with the final 53 is that, and Drew Button is going to go nuts when I bring this up because as well, but based on our picks, Dave, we've got those guys pictured right there, as Viking fans know, were the four draft picks in the third round that Rick Spielman made in the 2021 draft, and they're all picked pretty high in the third round, and based on our view of who makes the 53 right now, two of those four, Chazz, Surratt, and Wyatt Davis, will not make the team 2 years after they were selected. And Kellen Mond is pretty iffy too, so it's quite possible on Tuesday that Patrick Jones will be the only third rounder from that year's draft class that is still on the Vikings active roster. And Rick Spielman picked them all, and that is pretty ugly group of selections there in your third round. If after just 2 years, 2 years later, 3 of the 4 are no longer on your team. Just thought I'd bring that up.
Hey, Erman Side dude. I suspect Mullens will play. I haven't heard that for sure, but I would, if I was, I'd wager you a beer that he would play. He's going to play. So, and thanks for joining us. First time I've seen you.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, it could be interesting. I think Jones is going to make it, so at least 25% of that third round will continue, but it's quite possible that 3 out of the 4, tonight's their last game in purple for the Vikings. That brings us to our favorite time of the show, beer time. Speaking of beer, Lake Monster has a new brew out this week. It is a Belgian golden ale. And there is the description written for you. It is golden oat Belgian ale brewed with Bohemian Pilsner malt. We need a little Queen playing in the background, a little Rhapsody. Malted oats for a creamy body, fruity Belgian ale yeast, a touch of lotus hops, provided complexity and a hint of orange. On tap and in crowlers now. This got to be absolutely outstanding and refreshing. I would go for it in an absolute heartbeat. Aaron, I agree.
A whole bunch of beer on Lake Monster I'd go for in a heartbeat, David.
Well, it's going to be on your way. Now, speaking of Lake Monster, here's what they have on tap. You see that golden oat Belgian ale. It is wonderful. The guys being Matt Anderson and Miles Gorham, were down at Lake Monster Brewery yesterday. They enjoyed that Purple Rain. That was the first time, and they both absolutely loved it. So if you're in the St. Paul area or in the viewing area where you can get it at your local package store, liquor store, grocery store, wherever they sell it in Minnesota, try the Purple Rain. It's going to be outstanding. And I guarantee you that Golden Oak Belgian just looks fantastic. It should be good. I talked to Matt Lang, the brewmeister, today. He told me he's got some goodies prepared for September and October, and just to wait, it should be awesome. One of those is obviously going to be an Oktoberfest.
Yes.
General reminder, if you are in Canada, near Orleans, Canada, we have East Side Jiu-Jitsu opening up. Our very own Jason Brown, man of renown, is one of the instructors there. They do everything from jiu-jitsu to more grappling to yoga to women's this and stretching and stuff for kids and stuff like that. So if you like to get your physical and in shape with martial arts of jiu-jitsu and you live in the Orleans area, check it out. Brand new, going to be great. That brings us to theme 3. See you, Mary.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Mary.
The game tonight, preseason game 3.
And yeah, we just wanted to touch a little bit on this, David, before we left. And tonight's the final preseason game of the preseason. Probably the starters are not going to be many starters playing. Maybe Ed Ingram will be the only one, really. Cam Bynum might get a little bit of work. He's been getting a little bit of work every game, so that could be the case. But Kevin O'Connell said in his presser again that really his view was that again, I think he said like getting for the vets who've been around a while, 10 to 12 snaps. He didn't really know if there was much value in putting them in the game and getting that when they were getting and they had kind of a scrimmage, like they went over various situations at US Bank Stadium this week as one of their big practices. Plus they had again the joint practices with the 49ers, which he felt was a lot of one-on-ones, and he felt got the starters the reps, that valuable reps, and that seems like he doesn't feel they need them in preseason. So we're not going to see very much of the starters, if at all. One guy and it's going to make for some sloppy, sometimes boring football, I think. Aaron was talking about, hey, let's play Mullens because fans got to be interested about it, and we definitely are interested in seeing what Mullens will look like in the Vikings uniform and in this offense. So that'd be one of the things to watch for tonight. Will Mullens play? If he plays, how much does he play? And when he plays, if he plays, like what does he look like in this offense? Like how smooth does the offense run compared to what it looked like under Mond and Mannion? I'm just not convinced that he will play, David.
He may not. They may take this extra 2 weeks to bring him up to speed.
O'Connell got asked about this in his presser as well, and what he said, he didn't say definitely no, but he did point out that, hey, Mullens has already played in 3 preseason games with the Raiders. He's already got a lot of snaps. We don't want to put him in a situation like where it's not fair to him because he just got in this week and he doesn't really know the playbook all that much. I get the feeling that we won't see him tonight. And really, if the Vikings are deciding if they're going to keep a third QB, particularly are they going to keep Kellen Mond, then really you should be giving him
the bulk
of the snaps, and not wasting a series or two on Mullens when you know what you got with Mullens anyway, and he's the backup. So I'd like to see Mullens in the game again, just to see how the offense functions with him and how comfortable he looks with the offense. But I get the feeling that we're not going to see him tonight, so that's be a bit of a downer, I think, for fans, because they want to see what the new toy looks like.
Right. Exactly.
But
I'd like to see what the old toys look like, the number ones, but we got to wait 2 more weeks.
That's right. Yeah. So there's the Mullens thing. We'll see on that. Otherwise, we already talked in our roster spot about there's various backup end of the roster decisions that we got to look for. Like does Troy Dye make the team or not? Does Chazz Surratt make the team or not?
All these linemen, do they make the team or not?
That's right.
Brandel, Udo, Davis. You got Surratt, Nickerson, Boyd. I suspect Boyd will make it. Who knows? You come down to BC.
Jalen Naylor.
Yep. Are these guys going to make it? That's what's going to make watching tonight fun for me, besides drinking, is I'm going to be watching these guys. Are they going to stand out? Are they going to have a good game? Are they going to... Naylor, I specifically want to see him returning punts. Right? Tristan, Jackson, I want to see that flash that we've been reported about. I want to see him step up. BC, I'm not worried about BC. I want to see those guys do that. Does Ole make a case? No, you got to keep me. Right? I'm good. I can play guard relatively well, except for my holding problems. Keep me, as a tackle. This is what I'm looking for in this game. I'm looking at individual players. I'm looking to see how they do, and are they making a statement that no, you cannot live without me. You've got to keep me. And that's what I want to see.
The one other, I guess, backup that I'm pretty interested in is Austin Schlottman.
Yeah.
When the Vikings signed him, I remember we both talked about it, Dave. You showed the graphic of his PFF grades, which
Yeah,
were
and they were horrible.
horrible, and I was just like, why did we sign this guy? Like, why did we pick him up? I thought he was a camp body, nothing more, had no chance of making the team. But last week, he played pretty well at center.
And
And his
that not just
PFF
last
grades,
week, he did in the first
yeah,
week too.
and his PFF grades were through the roof last week. Again, he's not playing against the ones. We all know that, but it's still, if he was sucking against the twos and the threes, yeah, okay, get rid of him. But when you're dominating in a lot of cases against those backups, that is a good sign, and that indicates that you probably should make the team. So the way he's played, if he has another strong game tonight, that at least makes me feel better that the Vikings have a viable plan B at center in case Garrett Bradbury really struggles like he did last year, and then we had to go to Mason Cole, and Cole outplayed him when he was in there. And so I'm really interested to see how Austin Schlottman, if he builds on what he's done in the previous two games.
Well, and Schlottman's the same size, almost identical to Garrett Bradbury. But Schlottman does better in pass pro. And like I said, it all comes down to technique and how you're doing it and whether you're playing it right. And I like Schlottman as a backup center as of right now. I want to see him continue that tonight. He is one of the guys I'm going to be watching because I want to see how he plays. And along with T.Y. McGill on the other side, I think T.Y. McGill, I hope he just demolishes the Broncos.
Well, he's been
demolishing. I want stories like that.
He's been he demolished the Raiders and the 49ers offensive line. So yeah, and the Broncos offensive line is not what we would call a strong unit.
Right.
So Schlottman is a guy. The other thing that I guess is that
too bad he
for
can't
me.
Play.
Yeah, that's right. I guess the final thing about this preseason game is, as sloppy and as boring as it might be at times, is that the Vikings have, and we've talked about how last week about how what does preseason games really mean, right? Really, not a whole lot on wins and losses. I'm trying to think of somebody's gone 3-0 that this preseason. I got to look at my notes here, but
yeah, there's teams that have gone 3-0, and
well, like the Texans have gone 3-0 in preseason.
And do we
the
expect
Giants,
anything from them this year? No.
No. The Giants and Jets currently are 2-0, and I think they play each other tonight. So, but those teams. But everybody expects those teams to be the dregs of the league, and they probably will be. So winning in preseason doesn't mean a whole lot. But the Vikings went 0-3 last year in preseason. They're 0-2 in preseason right now. Kevin O'Connell has got a plan. That's clear. He trusts his vets. He trusts the work they're getting. He's not deviated. He trusts the work they're getting in training camp, in the joint practices, and everything else. He's giving he's prioritizing reps in practice over reps in preseason games, and he's prioritizing the health and health of those vets and his team over winning in preseason. So in the press conferences, he does not look one bit worried about what's going on and the fact that they're 0-2. I'm not worried at all, but I don't know. I would feel a little queasy if we go 0-3 with a new coaching staff, going into playing that team from Wisconsin in September 11th. I just think it would be nice to win that one last preseason game, go in off on a little high, and then you're cooking with gas. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but I don't want to see us to go 0-6 the last two preseasons. Speaking of terrible preseasons, the Lions just won their first preseason game last week since 2018. I didn't realize it was that bad over there, but but anyway, it'd be nice to see the Vikings get a win tonight.
It would.
As meaningless as the game is, and the fact that there's going to be the starters have played virtually no meaningful snaps in any of the games so far.
I agree with you. I think it would be cool to see a win, but like I said, I look forward to this for watching the players, and we will do that. Should be fun. Are you going to get to watch the game tonight?
I am. It's on at 7 p.m. here in Yellowknife, so I'll have it turned on to the NFL Network, and we'll be watching it. And
it is a late, Muhammad. It is a late game. I was hoping it would be on local TV. It's not on local TV here. I will watch it on NFL Network, just like you, and it should be fun. Now, what we've got coming up after this, right, is we have the game. We both will be watching live. If you want the opportunity, friends of the show, Ted and Drew, along with the Grand Poobah, Mr. Christopher Gates, are going to be broadcasting live for you to join in a watch party of the game on Vikings update. I suggest that you go over there, watch the game. If the game gets boring, you'll at least enjoy the laughs, and it's a good show. And then
they also give out prizes.
Oh, that's right. They do give out prizes, and good prizes at that.
Yeah.
Besides a mug with Ted's face on it.
That one I can do without.
But it's a good show, and it's fun to watch. And I highly recommend that you guys go over there and watch it. And tonight they have 2 special guests. I have no idea who those are, but it should be fun to watch. Then, in the final 2 minutes, and somebody was asking, I think Donnie was. Yes. Climb in the Pocket goes live. In our post-game show, the final score. How'd they do? We're going to find out how they did. It's going to be me, most likely Tyler Fornes, and Jonas from Germany joining us to go over how all these guys did. Hopefully outstandingly. So we shall see. Yes, Aaron, just another excuse to drink. You got beer up there. I'm going to be switching from beer. I've got my 2 primer beers. I will be going a little bit harder during the game. And so we can talk Sackles on the post-game show.
Whiskey, bourbon, or
tequila. The beer I'm drinking is called Nito Bandito. It's brewed in Dallas. It is a lager. Ted will watch this on a rerun. Yes, Ted, I'm drinking a lager. It's not an IPA, it's a lager. It's more like a Mexican lager. Tastes more like that. Drinking that right now. It's going to prime me for some good tequila as we go on from there. And then we have the game. So until then, stay safe. Get ready for the game. Watch the players you like. And join us for the post-game show, the final score. Catch Drew and Ted in between. Any last words, Darren?
Let's get this show rolling. Dave, not our show. It's been rolling for well over an hour, but the Vikings 2022 show rolling. After tonight, we got a few days. We just got just over a week, and then we're into real football. So getting even more excited than I have been all of the past 4 weeks. Let's go. Let's roll.
Absolutely. What do we say?
We say Skol Vikings, baby.
Skol Vikings! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.